Hey guys, welcome back. We are on the last active work day of week 4 of our 30-day LSIT challenge. Congratulations on making it this far. You should be very proud of yourself. I have no doubt that you have made significant progress in the last 4 weeks. Whether or not you're lifting off the ground yet, it's not a big deal, so don't beat yourself up. Continue showing up for yourself, cheering yourself on, and giving yourself that self-love that you need, building that connection and building that foundation. That's the most important part. Eventually, you will lift. The wonderful thing about practice is that the more you show up and dedicate the time, eventually it's going to get better. It's going to get easier. That's just how it works. So you don't have to fear that, oh, I'm never going to get it. This isn't for me. It's just not the case. All of our bodies are different, and that's okay. It's a wonderful thing. Diversity is a beautiful thing. So be where you are in your journey and let it unfold as your body and your timeline sees fit. So don't pressure yourself, don't compare yourself to others. We are all at different places on the path. We are all heading the same direction, and it is important for us to build each other up, build ourselves up, and invest together in this time for ourselves. So today we're going for 10 seconds total air time on the floor. So this is a massive step, and you may not be there yet, and that's absolutely okay. There is no magic recipe about 30 days that is going to get you to lifting off the floor in LSIT. The important part about doing challenges like this is to build a habit pattern, to show up for yourself and to get in the right mindset, and that's the most important part. It's a lifelong practice. It's not a check the box and then never do it again kind of thing. So this is just to help get ourselves in the habit of self-support and in the habit of new things, training new muscles, paying attention to sensations. So don't feel like if you are not lifting off the floor or the blocks yet, you're failing in any way. You're absolutely not. The only way you can fail is not to try, is to quit. So don't do that. Continue showing up for yourself. You'll eventually get that lift. But honestly, the most important part is just training those TVA muscles to support us. They're going to support us when we're walking, when we're sitting, when we're driving in the car, when we're sitting in an office chair, when we're doing our yoga on the mat or on the silks. Those muscles are used as primary stabilizers, and they're going to help support us in every single aspect of our life. So whether or not you're lifting up is not the big thing. The achievement is finding those sensations and a way to engage that part of the body in a way that's going to support you in the rest of your life on and off the mat. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can demo 10 seconds on the floor. For the sake of expediency today. But if you're not there yet, it's totally fine. Give it your best shot, and we'll talk a little bit about the leverage and kind of how things feel in your body during the lift. But just stick with it and shift those hips back and switch back to the blocks and back to the floor, back and forth. It's okay wherever you are. Don't worry about it. Just show up and be where you are and give it your full effort with some grace. Roll the wrists out a little bit. Oh, I'm very sore today. I've been moving and spending some time with family and traveling, and the quote that I keep reading over and over this week is that if you believe yourself to be enlightened, you should spend time with your family, and that may change your perspective. That's the late teacher Ram Dass liked to say that. And there's a lot of wisdom there, so we can get into some really amazing habit patterns and change lifestyle. But when we go back to our roots, sometimes it's very difficult to maintain those changes. And so it's a good, humbling reminder that it's a journey and it's a process, and we are capable of a large spectrum of behaviors and thoughts, and it's interesting. It's a good perspective. I'm going to stretch out my wrists here a little bit. Reminding my fingers that I need their help to press down into the mat and lift me up. So let's talk through a little bit the mechanics here. If you haven't lifted your feet up off the ground, it's a little bit different feeling. So in order to create the lift, there's a little bit of shifting action that happens kind of right here. It feels along your transverse abdominis and your solar plexus area, almost like your seesaw. So when you lift up here with your hips back and your feet are down on the ground like this, it's kind of pinning you down. And so you'll press down into your core muscles here, and you'll squeeze your latissimus dorsi in the center of your back. So it's this action. So you can practice this action, squeezing in together, and that will help you feel the feeling of activation of your lats and your back. So what actually takes you off the ground in the lift is squeezing here, and kind of leaning back just a little bit. So that'll bring you up. So let's try here. Spreading our fingers out wide, giving ourselves a good foundation. Pressing down into the mat. First, we're going to shift our hips back, so lifting is last. Back as far as we can go, and that's going to give us more leverage like our seesaw. And then I'm squeezing my core muscles, squeezing my back muscles, lifting the feet up, and you'll see that my bottom shifts down a little bit there. I can't quite see the clock, so we'll estimate here in 10 seconds. And then bring your feet down when you're exhausted. Pull those hips back to engage the TVA, and then set yourself down. It's a very different feeling in the actual lift than it is in the prep. So you're working a little bit more in your back and shoulders when you're lifting your body up. So in many ways, it's more beneficial to do the preparatory position where you're lifting up, shifting the hips back like this, and leaving the feet on the ground, because that's really targeting your TVA. You are using your lats a little bit, but not as much. So don't worry about the lack of lift if you haven't gotten there yet. It's a lot of work. You'll get there eventually. But the most important part is that foundation of just lifting up and shifting the hips back. That's going to much more target your core. And you'll find once you get to the lift that it's actually more challenging to hold and push your hips back like that than it is to hold the lift for a long enough time, because you end up dumping more weight into your shoulders to support you when you're lifted. So you should be rejoicing if you're not to the lift yet, because it can be really tempting to kind of do the fun party trick version of it, right? So the lift, it looks cool, it's exciting, it makes us feel really fancy, and that's great, it's wonderful, but it can be tempting in our practice to skip over the foundational poses, to skip over the things that are very beneficial for our bodies, but don't really look very cool, and that is what LSIT prep is. It doesn't really look very cool, but it is fantastic for your body, for building stability and strength. So stick with it and enjoy it while you're there. And when you get to your lift, remember that those preparatory positions are far, far more important than the actual lifting piece of it for developing strength and stability in your core. So stick with it. Don't neglect those. Don't just do the floating fun, feel good, look good stuff. Remember to invest in building a solid foundation for your body. And take a deep breath. Oh, thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. We've just got a couple of days left of this, but please continue adding this kind of exercise into your daily practice. As you found, you can do it anywhere you have a floor, whether you have carpet or hardwood or whatever, you can do it. You can always sit down and lift yourself up a little bit, and it's amazing how much benefit your body will gain just from a few short minutes of this investment. So continue mixing it in, see where you notice the engagement in your TVA, see when you're in balancing postures like warrior, engage your TVA there and see how it changes your disposition, see how it changes how the pose feels for you. If you are an aerial yoga practitioner, when you pull yourself up into the silks, you can engage your TVA. When you're in standing positions in the silk, engage there and just notice. Be really mindful of how your body has changed over this last 30 days and see how you can continue strengthening those muscles by using them in different ways. I will see you guys tomorrow for our rest and recovery session, and then we'll be on to the very last few days of the 30-day challenge. And once again, congratulate yourself for making it through. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'm very proud of you and very happy to have you along for this.